Hi everyone. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the differences between a yoga bridge and a Pilates bridge. Because the bridge pose exists in both, in yoga as well as in Pilates, but the goal and how it is practiced is a little different. And I get a lot of questions from my students around that. So I thought I'm going to make a little video to hopefully help clear some questions up. So typically, traditionally, a bridge in a yoga class is practiced as a heart opener to create space in your chest, to open up the chest. So the focus is on the back bend, on the spinal extension. So I'm gonna show you how that looks like. So, of course, there are other ways to practice a bridge in a yoga class, and you might, depending on the teacher, you might get different instructions or different versions. So I'm just going to show you the traditional, typical yoga bridge right now. So normally you get the instruction that your feet should be pretty close to you so that you can touch your heels with your fingertips, which may or may not work for you, depending on the length of your torso and your arms. That might not work for you. So for me, it works pretty well because I have long arms, but maybe you have the feet a little wider or a little less. But important is that you keep the knees in line with your hips, and also that when you roll up and you push up, that your knees stack over your ankles. So you don't want to be too much forward, no knees in front of ankles, and also not too much back. Too much back is not that bad if you are a little back, but try to stack your knees over the ankles. And then you can use your arms to press into the floor to really lift the hips and lift up, puffing up the chest. So you get an opening feeling and stretch across your chest. Oftentimes, you even hear the instruction to walk your shoulder blades, snuggle them together, interlace your fingers, and then press your arms down and help them to lift up even higher, keeping the chin towards the chest so your neck stays long, and then get a little stretch in the back of your neck. So you see there's a lot of bending happening here. So it's a back bend. And not so much focus on the hip extension. That hip extension happens, of course, as well. And your glutes are working a little bit. So it's not possible to relax your glutes completely in a bridge pose. But the focus is not on working and strengthening the glutes here. So the work is really, you can use your arms to help to lift up. You can use the feet to press down. And try to relax the glutes a little bit so that you're not completely squeezing the glutes, but they are still engaged, of course. All right, so that's the yoga bridge. Pilates bridge, the goal and the focus in the Pilates bridge is on hip extension, not so much on back or spinal extension. So what does that mean? So that means in Pilates bridge, the focus is on working the glutes and the back of the legs, the hamstrings. So you start the same way, like the feet more or less close to your pelvis, knees in line with your hips. And then typically we roll up through the spine in Pilates. So we start with tucking the tail. Your lower back flattens into the floor, and then lift your tail, and then your lower back, middle back up into a little lower bridge. So you should see your knees still. If you look down your front of the body, and then try to melt the front ribs towards the back ribs. So there's not much rib flaring open happening in Pilates bridge. In yoga there is, right? You saw there's a lot of opening the ribs up. In Pilates we want to try to hug the front ribs in and melt them towards the back ribs, and then from there squeezing our glutes to lift the hips a little higher without letting the ribs pop open, right? So it's really work in the glutes and your hamstrings, keeping the knees in line with your hips, keeping that feeling of front ribs towards back ribs. Then, of course, here there are different versions. Sometimes you want to focus more on the hamstrings. You can walk the feet further away from you, and then maybe even come up on the heels, lifting the toes to feel your hamstrings work a little more, digging your heels down and drag them back towards you without moving them. So there are different variations depending on what we want to focus on more. But there's definitely the focus on the hip extension rather than the spinal extension in a Pilates class. All right, so I hope that clarified it a little bit for you. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Reach out to me, let me know. I'm happy to help out. Yeah, otherwise I'll see you next time. Bye.